Joining us today for Primetime Local News is Mayor Gerald Albers. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
It's my pleasure, Shelby. Thank you very much for reaching out.
Really happy to be able to have you on here because the city of Lloydminster is launching its first official phase of engagement for the Bud Miller All Seasons Park Master Plan. Now, let's just kind of start this off with what's all involved with this first phase that you are planning to do with the city and for Bud Miller Park.
So we're starting with a survey, which is open from January 30th until February 22nd to give people the opportunity to share their thoughts about Bud Miller. We're looking at the vision. Where are we going to take Bud Miller, the current uses that are there, and how satisfaction feedback from the residents and the users of the park today.
Now, what exactly made the city want to start up this master plan? Is there some examples with the park that you're wanting to change that inspired this idea to want to hear from the residents?
I don't know if there was as much change as just making sure we're consistent with the long-term vision that people see of the park. When the park was established a number of years ago, things have changed a bit in the park. Things have been added. We've heard the pressures that having more people in the park take away from certain opportunities. Well, where people would like to see other things added, such as when we added the tennis courts for 2 more tennis courts to take it to 6 tennis courts. The question is, how much green space balanced with the nature that's there, be able to watch the animals run through, such as the foxes and the fox den that's out in Bud Miller, and other animals that enjoy it, but also allow people to use it, enjoy it to the maximum efficiency, yet still maintain the beauty of the park and all the amenities that are there, as well as the natural appearance.
And with you speaking from the city, you may not know this yet, but are there any plans so far that will possibly change in the park with this master plan, alongside of hearing residents' opinions and ideas?
No, this is truly one of those that we want to hear from people from that perspective. We certainly have a consultant and they'll say, this is what we're seeing in other parks in urban settings. But I think Bud Miller is our own distinct park. We're very proud of it. It has an excellent reputation. We receive numerous kudos here at the city, myself and council members, about how well it's maintained, all the amenities that are there. Before we do anything more to it, we want to make sure that people are if they're satisfied, then that's where we'll likely hopefully land at. If they'd like to see certain things change, we've seen different legislations change from urban parks and cities. So at a provincial level, we want to make sure that we're current, but we also want to make sure that that does not lose the touch and the feel that Bud Miller has for so many people and come away going, wow, that's the wow factor.
And would you be able to tell us what goal there is for the city for this master plan as a whole, and when phase 2 might begin, or is that kind of still in the works?
Well, certainly that will depend on how many surveys we get back. And I just like to touch on that just a little bit. People are going to ask, how can I answer the survey? Your voice, lloydminster.ca /Bud Miller. It's online for those that want to complete it on a computer. But if people would like a paper copy, they don't have the access to the internet, or they're just not as tech savvy as they'd like to sit down and write, people can pick up paper copies here at City Hall, the Operations Center, and the Lloydminster Public Library all have paper copies. So complete it by February 22nd. Once the consultant brings that, takes those reports and input from the residents and people in the city, then they'll take it and bring it back to council with some suggestions, working through administration, and we'll get the chance to see it in a draft form, I suspect, long before it is completed. Then we'll take another look at it and see if we got enough information that we feel satisfied. And when will step 2 or phase 2 happen? After that report is released, then we'll have an idea of what needs to be done, as well as then there'll be a potential financial commitment. So that moves to a budget year. So I can't guarantee that it's going to get done completely in 2023, but I believe that is the plan, to have the report done in 2023, so that when we go into budget discussions for 2024, if there is some work to be done, that would start that process. But these reports take a little while to complete, yet we we do not want it to simply sit on the shelf. It will be looked at by administration, be looked at by city council. And if it requires some capital and work that people feel that need to be done up, because I know the trail system, we have a great trail system. We often get comments about, can we do more with asphalt? And do we want to leave some in gravel, some as basically a bare trail? Those are all things that we'll see what come back from that report, and then we'll determine how much money we may need to look at in a budgetary fashion.
I'm sure lots of people here are going to be excited for the city to hear out their opinions and their ideas. And I'm super glad that the city is offering this. I think this is a great idea. Now, is there any more to add on this master plan that you want residents to know about?
Well, I think if you are a one-time user at the park once a year, you're a user each and every day. We encourage people to take the time to fill out that survey, because there's people that don't get to the park as often as they like. Maybe it's just for Canada Day, maybe it's the Fall Fest, whatever it is. But I would encourage everyone to take the time to fill it out. If you're a regular user, please let us know your thoughts. Take the time to fill out the survey questions and provide your input, because that is so critical. As members of council, we look to administration for information, and in this case, they're asking the public to provide that information. And the best people to comment on it are the users. Those that live around the park, we encourage them as well, because if there's activities that are positive in your world, we'd like to hear about it. If they're not as positive, we do want to hear about it, because it's important that we also realize there's the park, but those that live around the park and enjoy it as well. So there's multiple users, multiple groups. I hope that as many surveys come in as possible.
All right. Well, I'm really glad we're able to have you on here to help get the word out and hear about this. Really excited to see how this engagement and the first phase for the master plan goes. So once again, thank you so much for joining us today, Mayor Albers.
Thanks very much, Shelby. Have a great day.